15 of Leetcode 75 and doing maximum number of vowels in a substring of a given length. This is problem 1456. So we're given a string s and an integer k, and we have to return the maximum number of vowel letters in any substring of s with length k. And the letter vowels in English are a, e, i, o, u. And like for this example number 1 here, the substring I contains 3 vowel letters, which is all I, and it's looking for a substring length of 3. And you can look at all the other examples here, which are just edge cases. Is that if you have a substring with all of those vowels, or any like vowel letters, then it makes up the entire substring. So any of those, or it makes up that entire string. So any substring combinations of length 2 will contain the 2 vowels. And for the same case goes for example 3 here. You have a substring length of 3 that you must check, and you can just get like any of those substrings, and you can find that the maximum is 2 vowels. So the way you can go about implementing this is, if we look at an example here, if we look at example kind of deeper, we have 2 variables that we store, which is a count and a result. So the way we can do this initially is that we'll look at all the letters up to k, so exclusive. So you would go from index 0 to index 2. And then what you'll do is just you'll increment the count to be however many vowels there are. So in this case, there's 0. We set the result to be equal to 0. And then afterwards, we look at starting from k, which is here. So we start from k, and then we look up. What we do with each character is that this is now our I, so whatever k was at. So what we'll do is we'll increment this letter since it is a vowel. We'll increment it to be 1, and then we'll get I. So there's I minus k, so that's 3 minus 3 in this case is 0. So you just have a pointer that points to like essentially the entire length of the substring, and then you'll try to get rid of the previous one that you stored, because you want to find out what the maximum in each substring length can be in the sequential order, right? So it will be count 1 for now. So the result, it just keeps being set to the maximum. It's just the result is determining what is the maximum value is going to be. So right now it just sees that it's 1. That's our current maximum that we found right now. Then we can do the same thing. We'll do I becomes 4, then 4 minus 3, which becomes 1. So now we're looking at between C, I, and I. So we see that there's another one here. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll move this up to be 2. And then we'll increment it up once again. And it'll also decrement this. So it'll be, this is not a vowel, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect the result. So now you're hitting I, which 3 are vowels letters. So then we can increment the count, increment the result. And then now what we can do here, we'll decrement C as well again. We'll move I up to become, I believe this is 7, I of 7. So we can move this up again. And now we'll get the count to become 2, since we're looking at DIID, which only has 2. And the result still stays as 3. We can go through this entire thing again. And so we'll decrement this I right here. It'll become IID. Count is 2. We'll move it up again. Move this pointer up 2. We'll remove one of the vowels because we're removing our reference or our count on that substring, and we're moving on to the next sequential index we can go into. So now we have IDE, which has a count of 2, and if we move this all the way to the end, here we're looking at DF, which only has a count of 1. So, and now we've reached the end of the array, so that means we can return the result of 3, which is I in that case. So let's go ahead and code this up. So we have an initial count of, 0, and we're going to iterate until the key value exclusive. And what we're going to do here is we're going to increment the count if, and we need to set our vowels as well. So we have set of A-E-I-O-U, and then we're going to increment the count if S of I is in vowels. And we'll cast that to become an integer. Then what we'll do next is we're going to have our result, which is equal to the maximum number of vowel letters we can find in any substring length. And we're going to iterate from k itself up until the length of s. And what we'll do here is we'll increment count if, again, the current letter is in vowels. And then we'll decrement the previous count if it was a vowel, because we're moving on to the substring length now, or we're moving on to a new substring now, so we need to get rid of the old value. And what we can do here is just set res to be equal to max between res and c, and we'll return the result. That should be the result. Oh, it should be equal to c actually. The result should be equal to c. And that is the result.